Hey, gals and guys, it's Christopher Mosier from MyMediaHelper.com, and this time out we're going to look at solo artists and music groups that have turned into Saturday morning cartoons. It seems like the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s were the renaissance of cartoons. They came out with some really obscure things, and I didn't know half these things existed. So it's kind of interesting to delve into them and take a look at them and see what the history of Saturday morning, because Saturday morning kind of tapered off, right? The late night or not the late 90s, the early 90s. And of course they've made cartoon sense, but it has doesn't seem that the amount of ideas and just the quirkiness and the weirdness seemed to happen during the 70s, the 80s, and the early 90s during Saturday morning. So let's delve into these real quick. I'm not going to spend too much time on each of them, just to spotlight that they exist, and they're interesting. So let's take a peek at solo artists and music groups that were turned into Saturday morning fare. The Osmonds is a 1972 ABC TV Saturday morning cartoon series produced by Rankin Bass Productions starring the Osmond brothers. Each episode features the family in a different location around the world, with young Jimmy's antics usually driving the plot of the episode. As with most television series oriented around bands, the Osmond songs were featured prominently in the series. The series also featured their talking pet dog Fuji. Marie Osmond did not appear in the series, save for being briefly depicted in Transylvania, as she would not make her performing debut until 1973. An abridged version of their hit song One Bad Apple was used for the opening and closing credits of the show. Like the Jackson 5, it used a laugh track created by Rankin Bass, but unlike the Jacksons, the Osmond brothers provided their own speaking voices in their series. Each episode features one song by the Osmonds as a group and one solo song by either Donnie or Jimmy. Songs are followed by the albums on which they were included. Most of the Osmond group songs came from their rock-era albums Phase 3 and Crazy Horses. The Jackson 5 is a Saturday morning cartoon series that aired for 2 seasons on ABC from September 11th of 1971 to October 14th of 1972. Produced by Rankin Bass and Motown Productions, it is a fictionalized portrayal of the careers of Motown recording group the Jackson 5. The series was rebroadcast in syndication in 1984 and 85 during a period when Michael Jackson was riding a major wave of popularity as a solo artist. It also briefly re-aired in 1999 on TV Land as part of their Super Retrovision Saturdays lineup. Due to high demand of the group, the roles of Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Michael were played by voice actors, with records of the group's songs being used for the musical tracks of the show. The group did make some contributions to the cartoon in form of live photographs of each member morphing into a cartoon, which was shown in the title screen medley. Although the musical scenes of the cartoon were chiefly animation, the occasional live action footage of a concert or music video of the Jackson 5 would be spliced into the cartoon series. The actual Jackson 5 also contributed to the show by posing for pictures prior to the cartoon's debut, which were used as posters, newspaper clips, and TV guide spots advertising the forthcoming TV series. Though Barry Gordy did not provide the original voice, his character was voiced by Paul Frees, nor advertised his name, his character was frequently involved as the adult figure to the group. R&B and pop singer Diane Ross contributed to voice her fictionalized self in the debut episode. The premise of the show is that the Jackson 5 would have adventures similar to Josie and the Pussycats, Alvin and the Chipmunks, or the Partridge Family, with the unique addition being that Barry Gordy, the manager of the band in the show's universe, would come up with an idea for publicity for the band, such as having to do farm work or play a concert for the President of the United States. The series was followed by The Jacksons, a live-action variety show in 1976. The Beatles, also referred as The Beatles Cartoon, is an animated television series featuring representations of the popular English rock band of the same name. It was originally broadcast from 1965 to 1967 on ABC in the United States, with reruns airing until 1969. The series debuted on September 25th of 1965, with new episodes airing until October 21st of 1967. A total of 39 episodes were produced. The series was shown on Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time until the third season in 1967, when it was moved to 12 p.m. Eastern. Reruns aired from 1968 to 1969 at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Sundays. Each on Sundays. Each episode is named after a Beatles song with a plot based on its lyrics, and it is also played in the episodes. The series was rerun on MTV in 1986 and 1987, and on the Disney Channel beginning in 1989 on Fridays at 5 p.m. The series was a historical milestone as it was the first weekly television series to feature animated versions of real, living people. The series consisted of short animated stories intended to set up visual illustrations of Beatles songs. In addition, there were sing-along sequences with simpler imagery complementing the full lyrics of particular songs. The songs were taken from the albums up to Revolver, as well as non-album singles up to Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane. The Beatles borrowed Richard Lester's fast-cutting directorial style of A Hard Day's Night and its 1965 follow-up Help. Hale Erickson writes in the television cartoon shows that the frenetic cuts, the series' breezy pace and comic abundance, which often had to compensate for some distressing sloppy animation and infantile scripting. The band members were not involved with the series' production beyond the use of their music recordings. U.S. actor Paul Frees voiced John Lennon, George Harrison, and Brian Epstein, and provided additional voices, while Lance Percival voiced Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. The female voices were provided by Julie Bennett and Carol Corbett. At first, the Beatles dismissed the series because of its poor quality. It is reported that the band members enjoyed the cartoon in later years. Initially, the opening credits theme was a guitar riff from A Hard Day's Night, segueing into Can't Buy Me Love over a cartoon sequence of the group running down a fire escape, echoing a scene in A Hard Day's Night. The second season's opening theme was Help, while the third season's opening theme was And Your Bird Can Sing, over a different cartoon sequence. Butch Cassidy, also known as Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kids, is a 30-minute Saturday morning animated series produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions and broadcast on NBC from September 8th of 1973 to December 1st of 1973. The series title is a play on the name of the unrelated 1969 film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. The character's music group is called the Sundance Kids. Similar to both Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, and Josie and the Pussycats on CBS, the show depicts the adventures of the titular teen pop group. The band consists of four heartthrobs: Butch Cassidy, the lead vocals and lead guitar; mini-skirted blonde beauty Mary Lee on tambourine; sensible Stephanie, nicknamed Steffi, on bass guitar; and curly-haired Wally on drums. Accompanied by Wally's dog Elvis, these popular rock stars lead double lives as government-backed crime fighters. The teens are advised by a supercomputer named Mr. Socrates, who is somehow violently allergic to dogs. When the group meets with Mr. Socrates in his lair for their latest assignment, Elvis is always told to stay outside, yet Elvis always ends up inside the lair by his own ingenuity and or by Wally's forgetfulness. Elvis's mere presence causes Mr. Socrates to sneeze and go haywire. Mr. Socrates then sends the group out of the lair and off to their assignment. Butch, designated as Sundance 1, wears a special communicator ring, which keeps him in contact with Mr. Socrates. New Kids on the Block is an animated television series featuring the adventures of the New Kids on the Block, of course. It lasted for one season in 1990 on ABC. Beginning the following year, it aired in reruns from October 12th of 1991 to 1993 on the Disney Channel. Though the group appeared in live-action clips, their animated voices were performed by other voice actors. You Got It, The Right Stuff was the opening theme, while an instrumental version of Step by Step was the closing theme. In each episode, the group is traveling to a concert location when something takes them off track, ending in a pro-social moral lesson. A primetime special, New Kids on the Block Christmas Special, aired on ABC on December 14th of 1990. The series focuses on the group's misadventures along with their manager, who is based on their real-life manager, Maurice Starr. Partridge Family, 2200 AD, is an American science fiction Saturday morning animated series and a spin-off of the 1970-1974 ABC live-action sitcom The Partridge Family, produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions and Columbia Pictures Television, and broadcast on CBS from September 7th to December 21st of 1974, though it would air in reruns until March 8th of 1975. The band performed one of their pop hits in each episode. While in pre-production, Hanna-Barbera originally proposed an updated version of The Jetsons, in which Elroy would be a teenager and Judy would have a steady job as an ace reporter. CBS, under the leadership of Fred Silverman, discarded the idea and decided to make an animated version of The Partridge Family instead. The Partridge Family had already been recurring characters in a previous Hanna-Barbera production, Goober and the Ghost Chasers. In this new iteration of the series, the Partridge Family is, without any explanation, living in a Jetsons-like futuristic environment in 2200 AD. The family's galaxy-famous musical act is notably more successful than in the live-action show, and they appear to manage themselves. The character of Reuben Kincaid is not a regular. Danny has a robotic dog named Orbit, and Keith and Laurie have two good friends that travel with the family, though they are not part of the musical act. Marion, a two-toned green and blue Martian who can fly, and Vini, a purple-haired Venetian with a distinct buzzing vocal tick. Danny Bonaducci, Susan Crowe, and Brian Forrester voiced their respective characters from the live-action series. Susan Day provided Laurie's voice for only 2 episodes before she was replaced by former Mouseketeer Sherry Alberoni, who had voiced Alexandra for Hanna-Barbera's Josie and the Pussycats. Chuck McLennan served as both the speaking and singing voice of Keith Partridge instead of David Cassidy. Joanne Gerber voiced Shirley Partridge in place of Shirley Jones, while John Stevenson took over the role of Reuben Kincaid from Dave Madden in a few episodes in which he appeared. Mickey DeLenz, a member of a previous made-for-television band, The Monkees, had various reoccurring roles in the series, one of his first voice-over roles. 16 half-hour episodes were produced for Partridge Family 2200 AD, which lasted half a season on CBS Saturday morning. In 1977-78, it was retitled The Partridge Family in Outer Space when episodes were serialized on the syndicated weekday series Fred Flintstones and Friends. Like many animated series created by Hanna-Barbera in the 1970s, the series contained a laugh track created by the studio. Due to its ties to the Partridge Family 2200 AD is one of the only 2 Hanna-Barbera-produced series since HB's 1967 sale to Taft Broadcasting that are owned outright by Sony Pictures Television, whose predecessor Screen Gems produced the live-action series. Genie, an animated spin-off of I Dream of Jeannie, is the other. The copyrights to both animated series are currently held by CPT Holdings. Kid and Play is a 1990 American animated television series based on the real-life hip-hop duo Kid and Play. It ran for 1 season on NBC from September 8th to December 8th of 1990. On the show, Kid and Play were portrayed as teenagers along with their friend Jazzy, their producer Herbie, and their DJ Wiz, but their recording careers remained the same as in real life, as did their character traits. Production was by Marvel Productions and Saban Entertainment. The real Kid and Play appeared in live-action wraparounds for the cartoons, but voice actors took over for the animated versions of the duo. The show stressed positive role models, teaching children how to get along with each other and stay out of trouble. Akin to the House Party films, Play was a less responsible member of the duo, cooking up get-rich-quick schemes, while Kid, the more responsible member, would usually be made to clean up messes. Oftentimes, the issue would be resolved by the characters' girlfriends or sometimes by an elderly jazz musician who wore a blue beret and was aptly named Old Blue. Also along the crew is Kid's Mohawk pet dog Harry. Everyone's got a pet dog in these cartoons. The lessons range from serious to lighter fare. One of the less serious episodes dealt with Kid's father under the impression hip-hop is bad, and Kid not having the means to put it in a positive light. Old Blue offers to help by sending Kid on a trip back in time to the era of jazz and the 1920s speakeasies to help better understand its roots. Marvel Comics published a tie-in comic book which ran for 9 issues in 1992. The series was created by John Semple Jr. and Cynthia Friedlaub, who also served as the showrunners and head writers. They would later go on to write Kid and Play's 3rd live-action feature, Class Act, for Warner Brothers. Semper would later produce and be the head writer for Spider-Man the Animated Series for Marvel Film Animation. It was canceled after 1 season as George H.W. Bush signed a deal to require educational programming for children in the following season. Ownership of the series passed to Disney in 2001 when Disney acquired Fox Kids Worldwide, which also includes Marvel Productions. Hammerman is an animated television series starring rapper MC Hammer, which aired for 13 episodes on ABC in the fall of 1991. It was produced by Deke Animation City and Italian company can't even begin to pronounce that, Reteittalia, Retitalia, S.P.A., in association with Spanish network Telecinco. Youth Center worker Stanley Burrell, Hammer's real name, owns a pair of magical dancing shoes, which are alive and can speak, which when worn cause Burl to transform into the superhero Hammerman. He frequently gets advice from his Gramps, who was a former owner of the shoes and was known as Soul Man. While in the guise of Hammerman, Burrell was dressed in MC Hammer's signature purple hammer pants and golden chains. The show was hosted by the real MC Hammer, who also sang the show's theme song, telling about the origin of Hammerman. This is so stupid. Back in the 1960s and the 1970s, Gramps, Robert Nameson, was the superhero Soul Man, but as he grew older, he grew weaker and was forced to retire. Gramps and his granddaughter Jody traveled to find the next new superhero. Their search was over when they met Stanley, and he put on the shoes. Each episode, Hammerman faces various social issues. At the end of each episode, MC Hammer would speak to the audience and provide methods to address these issues themselves. It's so weird that this show didn't last very long. It sounds outstanding. Mission Magic is an American Saturday morning animated series starring rock star Rick Springfield and is a spin-off of The Brady Kids produced by Filmation. 16 episodes aired on ABC from September 8th to December 22nd of 1973. It was also broadcast in Springfield's native Australia, where Springfield was then a bigger celebrity. The show involved Miss Tickle, a magical teacher who could transport her students to fantasy realms through her magic blackboard. Even though Springfield still spoke with a pronounced Australian accent in the mid-1970s, he provided his own voice for his animated doppelganger. On the show, Springfield always wore white pants and a white sweater, which sported on the front of encircled lowercase r with a lightning bolt in the background. This design was taken from the back cover of his 1973 album, Comic Book Heroes. They were involved in a weekly after-school group called the Adventure Club. In the first episode, the club was visited in class by the school principal, Mr. Samuels, who knew nothing of Miss Tickle's magical abilities. Almost every episode began with Rick communicating with the club via an enchanted gramophone, telling them where he was and either inviting them to come along or transmitting a distress message of some form. Miss Tickle would aim her magic ring at Tut-Tut, a ceramic cat on her desk who would come to life after Miss Tickle recited the incantation. "Oh, Tut-Tut cat of ancient lore, 'tis time to draw the magic door." After drawing a magic door on the blackboard, Miss Tickle, Tut-Tut, and the students would fly through the door and meet up with Springfield and his familiar, an owl named Ptolemy. In their travels to otherworldly lands and times, they would solve mysteries, fix problems, or help people in need. At the middle or end of each show, Springfield performed a song, its lyrics often tying into the message of that week's story. An album with most of the songs from the series was released in 1974, followed by a CD version in 2004. The Archies are an American fictional rock band featured in media produced by and related to Archie Comics. They are best remembered for their appearance in the animated TV series The Archie Show. In the context of the series, the band was founded by guitarist-vocalist Archie Andrews, drummer Jughead Jones, bassist Reggie Manti, percussionist vocalist Betty Cooper, and keyboardist vocalist Veronica Lodge. The music featured in the series was recorded by session musicians including Ron Dante on lead vocals and Tony Wine on duet and backing vocals. The recordings were released as a series of singles and albums that achieved worldwide chart success. Their most successful song, Sugar Sugar, became one of the biggest hits of the bubblegum pop genre that flourished from 1968 to 1973. In 2020, a new version of the band was introduced in the TV series Riverdale, with Kevin Keller replacing Reggie Mantle. However, the band continues to appear with the 5 original members in the comic books published by Archie Comics. A feature film of the Archies was produced for Netflix and was released on December of 2023. Yeah, gals and guys, that concludes another romp down animation memory lane. If you could please subscribe and share and like and hit the bell for updates, I'd most appreciative. Spit that out. Thank you, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.